After 3 months, the Yousafzai family returned to Swat Valley. Pakistan's army had driven the Taliban out, and the government called on citizens to return. Were the Taliban gone for good this time? As they drove through the villages, they were horrified by the damage. What a mess! Army checkpoints were everywhere, but at least there was no sign of the Taliban. When they reached their home, Malala and her family were relieved to see that it hadn't been broken into. Malala's books were still packed safely in her school bag. What a relief! She looked forward to returning to school without fear. Sadly, her brother's chickens didn't make it. Rest in peace, chookies. Thankfully, their school was intact. Well, mostly. The army had used it as a hideout during the battle and had left a bit of a mess. The battle for Swat Valley had been bitter and bloody, but Fazlullah, the radio mullah, was still on the loose, although he and his buddies seemed to have retreated for now. On the bright side, at least his scary, shouty radio show was cancelled. Hey team, just a reminder, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It really helps the channel out, and our next upload could be on something taught in your next class. Thanks, and back to the video. Malala and her father, Ziauddin, continued to conduct lots of interviews. The people of Swat wanted the Taliban brought to justice. There was a brief period of peace in which people felt free to celebrate their return to Swat. There was even music and dancing. Then, in July 2010, flash floods ripped through Pakistan. Just as people were starting to rebuild, the Swat Valley was devastated yet again. Soon, it became obvious that the Taliban had never really left. 2 schools were blown up, aid workers were killed, and a prominent Islamic scholar who had spoken out against the Taliban was murdered. By the time Malala was 13, people were still waiting for law and order to return to Swat Valley. Malala was regularly speaking at events, although she struggled to feel authoritative. She had stopped growing at 5 foot and could barely see over the lectern. Across Pakistan, extremist views were nurtured within the government, which created a culture of fear. Not to mention that the Taliban's leaders in Pakistan still roamed free. Why weren't they being hunted down? When Ziauddin spoke out against Fazlullah, he promptly received another chilling death threat. This one rocked him for a while, but after a few weeks he returned to his schedule of speaking commitments. One day, when she was about to measure her height again, Malala heard loud voices in the next room. What was all the commotion? It turned out that during the night, US Navy SEALs had snuck into Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad and shot him in the head. America was celebrating, but Pakistan's military was humiliated. It was big news. Bin Laden, the world's most notorious terrorist, had been living happily in Pakistan for the last 9 years. Oops. Speaking of big news, that was the same year that Malala started winning major awards. This included big prize money. Cha-ching! This was all very nice, but Malala was more concerned about making a difference than collecting accolades. She decided to spend most of the money on setting up an education foundation. What a champion! In 2012, Malala had a school in Karachi named after her, so the family flew there for the event. It was the first time they had been on a plane. While they were there, they visited the mausoleum of Pakistan's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In that sacred place, Malala couldn't help but think how disappointed Jinnah would have been in Pakistan. When he founded it back in 1947, Jinnah had wished for a tolerant and free country. Sadly, he died a year later. Looking at the state of things in 2012, this probably wasn't what he'd had in mind. A short time later, Malala learned of the Taliban's direct threat against her life. No one could enjoy their holiday in Karachi after that. When Ziauddin suggested they stop campaigning for a while, Malala argued against it. Gee whiz, that girl's got guts. Maybe if she kept a slightly lower profile, she'd be okay. It turns out the Taliban and their minions are more tenacious than that. After Malala's school took all the girls on a picnic, a nasty propaganda letter started circulating. It accused the school of being a centre of vulgarity and obscenity. It also made a suggestive comment about what the girls did on their picnic. Ugh, how low will these bullies go? Pretty low, it seems. Ziauddin reassured all the girls that it was just the nonsense of Taliban wannabes and to ignore it. Yeah, down with those bullies. With Malala's 15th birthday came the strong realisation that the Taliban had changed tack. Back in 2008 and 2009, they had threatened everyone. By 2012, they were targeting specific people, peace builders and civilians who were vocally opposed to the Taliban. Ziauddin's friends and colleagues were being picked off, one by one. When would they come for him? Malala stopped walking to and from school and double-checked the locks in their home every single night. Ziauddin would look up and down the street 4 or 5 times before he crossed. What a way to live. Then Malala started having bad dreams. She also held a secret dread whenever she went outside that someone was going to leap out and attack her. Other than that, she just prayed hard, studied hard, and hoped for the best. When exam time came around, Malala was keen to reclaim her place as top of the class. Winning all these awards had distracted her from her studies. She was most stressed about her Pakistan studies exam and studied until very late to make sure she aced it. Thankfully, the exam went well, so she enjoyed the bus trip home, chatting and laughing with her close friend, Muniba. Malala didn't see the 2 young men who stepped into the road to flag down the school bus. When one of them leaned in the back window, she didn't get a chance to answer the question, "Who is Malala?" She doesn't even remember hearing the crack, crack, crack of the shots he fired from the pistol in his trembling hand. To the hospital, bus driver, step on it! Malala and 2 other girls have been shot. Will they reach the hospital in time? We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons, check out our other videos.